Hello, Elisabet. This is
Hi.
Ovidiu. We meet after 7 years, 2014, at the third European Conference on Narrative Therapy and Community Work. We had the chance to organize it in Iasi in Romania. It was not snowy, as my last picture shows that it is now in 27th of January. Then it was beginning of July 2014. It was very warm and beautiful, I remember. And it was the first time I had the chance to meet you and many other colleagues, therapists from the world, not only from Europe. And it was such a phenomenal experience for us as therapists and also for us as Iasi people to host that diversity and fantastic show of artistry in the conference and between the sessions and in the meetings.
It was great. It was so great. Everything was so great with that trip.
I'm very glad that it still resonates with you as with other colleagues and friends who.
Yeah. Yes, and all this fantastic trip we had afterwards to what do you call Moldavia?
Yes,
and
Republic of Moldova,
and it was football, and I'm not talking about the things around, because the lectures were interesting and everything, but the whole setup to come to Iași and to Romania and meet all these nice people and this fantastic place. We went to the gala mid-dinner, and so
we danced on different countries' music, and
yes, and
absolutely impressive and immersing. Yeah,
I think these are, for me at least, very important things. I used to say the format is the message in some way. That it's not just learning by your brain, it's just to enjoy and socialize, and it felt so generous from your team, and it was so well. Everything was just absolutely great, and I would love to go to Romania again. It's still there.
Yes.
For me to go. Yeah, but I have a dear friend who is from Romania, so I know poftim, or what these words you say in Romania, and the language and so. Well, so you contacted me, and I used to ask.
I've been following you over the Facebook. Usually, that's the main connection for. Right. I think for my generation, we are still on Facebook. Maybe other generations move to different other social media streams. But being on Facebook, I've been aware of your project or activity called live staging. And I was impressed from a distance. But then, I don't know, this January, I just told to myself, I really need to know more. And if I want to know more, I can contact Elisabet. And if Elisabet has some time, we can have a chat and just share about some of our life experiences, professional experiences that are still inspiring us to continue what we do in relation to narrative approaches, because that's one thing that brought us in together. And so here we are, and you were so kind to immediately respond and set up this meeting. And this is the first kind of hello after 7 years with colleagues and friends from 2014. And it's like an idea that maybe I can continue, and I invite other people who are here and to reconnect and have this recapitulation of what's worth to be told, to resurrect the story in a conversation, just very simple, very, very relaxed with a tea. Have a tea.
Yes. Yeah, that's a side effect of the pandemic is really this international turn to be able to reach out. I on a weekly, every week since 2 years back, I meet with colleagues around the world twice.
Okay.
So and I just talked to a woman from Maryland right before at 4 o'clock today. We're going to do some cooperation, and so it opens up and the notion that we have to be global in our climate, in our thinking, in Corona. And so I think it's so easy now. So why shouldn't we?
So life is not only envisaged, but lived in this way, digital ways, expanding possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody said to me in my group that it's like industrialism in a way, the huge impact this technological influence have. Not influence, the huge these technical innovations have is connecting people all over the world, and that's fantastic.
In a way, this connection I can see is going beyond the walls of separations due to the COVID and things alike, and allowing us to maintain relationship, to build new relationships, and to construct an identity that maybe otherwise, me as an adult, my son is 21 now, I could have lost possibility to understand how the new generation is born within this kind of type of relationships, this digital immersion, supporting new types of digital relationship, and sometimes things like that. As we maybe had the telephone when we were younger, and we supported relationships via telephone, but still it was not like such a global possibility.
No, it was too expensive.
Yeah. Now it is more this technology democratizes communication, and also because it's a visual presence, it's much more than just talking, but also by the little nonverbal that we can get, but so rich by face. It adds to the humanizing of the communication and to the influence of the voice and so on. So I think as a teacher, because we are teaching still, this is 2020, 2021, and then we still have this semester online at the university.
Yeah, we do in Sweden as well, mostly.
We switch back at a certain time, but for the moment we still do that. We kind of get used to this. We are humanizing any environment where we are put. I think this is a fantastic capacity for adaptation. At the same time, it is a longing for the usual ways.
Yeah,
I cannot say old ways, but this is the third year. It's like it's becoming kind of old expectation to.
It has a huge impact. It's good and bad, like with everything. It's so yes.
What about life staging? I mean, I don't have an awareness of the history of this project. And what about it? What can you say about life staging? Is it something that defines you? Because I'm associating you with that.
Yeah, it's my invention. Okay. I made it. I developed it myself. And the roots are to make a short trip. I don't know what the students you have, what are they interested in?
Well, I teach counseling for master students, introduction to counseling for bachelor, but for the second year students, I teach narrative therapy. So there will be more people here in Iasi getting acquainted, informed, and even having some exercises and ideas about how narrative operates in our lives and how we can use narrative approaches for our own development in terms of understanding of our living, of our experiences, but also how to put that at work in our relationships and our definitions of lives. Also in Psitera, the association, me and Aliona, we organize within the Psitera Association, not only conferences, but also we have training groups, professional training groups in narrative therapy, level 1 and level 2.
Wonderful.
We have this wonderful collaboration with Hugh Fox from Narrative Therapy UK, and he is our supervisor. So we kind of brought in with Michael White's contribution in 2005, and then with Hugh Fox number of trainings that he offered here in Iasi during the years since 2011 to 2018. We benefited, and we still hope that this year he will come back for a final module 3 course that we are awaiting. But otherwise, it's like we have some hundreds of people who went through at least 40 hours of narrative therapy in Iasi and in Romania due to this continuous celebration of practice and knowledge.
Wonderful. I just love that city. Yeah, it is actually the father of my friend from Romania, her father went to a medical school in Iasi. He's now dead, but but I wanted to be, produce, or would you say, something that would be valuable. So maybe I should say something about myself.
Okay.
Story. I'm old. I'm 68. So I was the child of the 50s. And as a narrative person, I think we were always influenced by the bigger story, the more dominant stories in our different cultures through different periods of time and so on. So an impact is that I was born in 1953 after the war, and people were quite happy and looking forward, and there was a lot of possibilities
in those times.
Those times, so I started to become a psychologist in the 70s, and by then it was very influenced by psychoanalytic and psychodynamic theories, as you know. That was the reference in therapy. Though there were some Virginia Satir, there were some people who were a little different, Milton Erickson and others, but still it was a lot. And the frame of that for me felt quite narrowing, though it was very good because I was working with children, hands-on with play and things like that. But also I was doing assessment in a assessment tool called the Sandtray.
Okay.
You're maybe not familiar with that. No, it's this sort of disappearing now in this cognitive area. So the Sandtray is a sand tray with sand. And the assessment tool is that you have 365 different items in a cupboard, which is open, and the child can choose. It could be people, animals, fences, trees, and as a psychologist, I sit and notice everything the kids is doing when it's building its word. So the kids are building the word, and the kids I assessed were usually kids that were taken into custody because of violent and hard times at home. So it was very important to understand how is the inner word of this child. You cannot ask a little child. You have to go through the play and the picture and the drawings and everything. So this is a huge piece that I thought was very helpful, to be hands-on, and also this projective tool.
Experiential projective, yes,
very much so. And I use it both as an assessment tool, but also as in therapy, traumatized kids and so on. And you can see so much. And here we come with the seeing. The seeing is a red thread, what you call, through this story. So after that, I came. But I work with kids, and I always work with the family. I have I think I always emphasize the context. Be it the father was in prison, or be it I always try to look up the parents and check it and check up the context and family. So in '79, I turned to family therapy course, my first one, and then I also came across psychodrama. And that kind that is called with multiple protagonists. And that's kind of wild psychodrama, because then when you're directing that, people can jump in and take over the play. So that is very good, because that's I think it's an important tool as therapists, supervisors, teachers, to be able to improvise. You learn, you have no control, you have to sort of relate to the situation. So and also I found it much more free with family therapy and psychodrama from this more stiff kind of analytic and you have to behave like that, and professionally that you be like that, and don't laugh too much and don't wave too much, and so I felt a little and as I'm also a designer and painter, so I was much more, and I worked in camps with kids, but I did take all the courses and the grades and everything. I became a psychotherapist in family therapy in couples and individuals.
I'm just inclined to verbalize something now, if you allow me.
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt your description. It gets to me the idea that you refer to the narrowing of the role and the process of the psychodynamic training and activity, and you are talking about it in a way that makes me feel that you could act against some of the restraints, and you were so sensitive to how to do more than that you took up these opportunities of training in family therapy and psychodrama. And I can see now how these are resonating with the other passions and talents like designer and painter, which are expressive ways.
Yes.
And I think now I can see them in sync, and how you negotiated these professional realms, coming to more interactive and immersive ways of influencing people in life.
Yes. I started my business in 82, so it has been more than almost 40 years as in my own practice. But I used to work half-time in the child guidance clinic in different with teenagers and different family counseling and all kinds of clinical works half-time. And then I supervised. I started supervision and teaching from 82 and on. So from 99 full-time. So so I was also influenced by this crazy Milan team people. I don't know if you know about them.
I studied the various schools of family therapy. I did not have an intensive or a more advanced training in Milan, but studying it as a school or a sub-school of the many schools of systemic therapy, yes. Have some readings, but I cannot say more about it.
Yeah, well, they were our supervisors when I worked at the hospital in Sweden in 76, or was it 80? I can't remember. Anyway, so I like this paradox and counter paradox and just, I'm very interested in philosophy. Philosophy and drawing was my best. I had the best grades in school, gymnasium. So I liked always to be philosophy on that level, but also still hands-on.
Grounded at the same time.
Yes, it was important, and it has to be an isomorphy or a congruence in everything for me. My values comes down into my theories, and which comes out in my practice and my language.
Now that you say that, I can see the landscape of action and the landscape of identity of Michael White. I'm making this parallel now.
Okay, I never thought of these words, but that's interesting that you say, yes, landscape of action. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so what happened was, so that I was doing this and of course, influenced by the collaborative dialogical people of Tom Anderson was a dear friend of mine, Jaakko Seikkola I met, all these Scandinavian.
I've met Jaakko. I've been to Jyväskylä and I met him.
Jyväskylä, yes. So these are the other influences of this collaborative and so on. In 1988, I thought that before I get my family, children and everything I have, so I will go around the world by myself. I wanted to do that. So I put a backpack on my back and I asked some persons that a colleague of mine, a supervisor actually, would you know any people I could visit on my way that could be interesting? And she said, yeah, you go and see Michael White. He looked very handsome. We don't have the same taste, but what I did was before leaving from Stockholm in a cold December, I wrote a letter. By that time, we wrote letters.
Yeah, I know.
Michael White. And I said, I don't know you, but I've heard through Mia that you are great. And I want to know if I could come to the Dulwich Center to see you. And if you don't have the time, maybe we can go out and have a beer. And I got an answer. You're welcome.
Is this a Swedish way of introducing yourself?
I don't know. It's my way. I'm not too complicated, though. I'm quite complex.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm quite. I'm a traveler. I'm a world traveler in many ways. I always was moving in. So I'm not so pretentious. So anyway, he said, "Well, you're welcome." And he came and saw me. I stayed at the YMCA, and he came with his bicycle, and he took me out with his wife. And little Penny was little. His child was little by that time, and I had some presents with me to her. Of course, you do that when you travel. Anyway, so one of the first day, he put me behind the mirror with the family he had. And I don't know if you've been to Australia, but he said, well, today we have some overseas reflections. And I haven't understood a word what the family said. They were from the very outback in Australia, you know, kangaroos.
Different pronunciation, different.
Yeah. He was, you know, but so, but we became friends, and I had not packed very much heavy, but I went there with lots of papers from Michael, with philosophers, and also his work with relative influence questioning.
Yes, yes.
Which I translated them to Swedish.
Okay.
Yes. So I was also called or David Epstein, though he couldn't meet because this was during the Christmas season, so he couldn't meet with me.
Yeah.
So, but then I met with Michael in Sweden. I was once asked, could you be the warm-up band for Michael White? I think that's very honoring. I'm bragging a little now, but he was supposed to do something in Sweden, and people know that narrative is quite hard to understand at once. So they had one extra day, which they call the warm-up band. I think that was a lovely word for it. So
yeah, for an artistic person as you are, it was a good fit, a good metaphor.
Yes,
an artistic one.
Yes. So anyway, so no, but we as we have met before, and we became sort of friends, and I also visited other places in Adelaide who worked with kids and so on. But I mean, this turned around a lot for me to meet with Michael. It changed it challenged all the dominant ideas of what is psychology and what is experts, and all this about narratives. And I liked it because I don't like prejudice. I didn't have words for it by then, but I don't like thin storytelling. I don't like inscribing people and phenomena into thin stories. I always wanted to look behind and in the complex and see the not make too fast decisions about things. That was my values before. So
you were kind of ready. It was a good fit.
It was a good step, and also this thing about moving around in the world and different cultures and meeting different people, and and how do we speak, and
you were exposed to this diversity, and you could understand hands-on the variety of values and the possibilities of life. So you are not confined in your experience in that.
I wouldn't say it was. I thought it was kind of hard to get into this other way of thinking after having so much heavy load of psychological thinking.
Yeah, of expertise.
Yes, it's. I say we need to take away a lot of things. It's sometimes easier to do narrative work with people who are not loaded with psychology. So I had to work quite hard to, but it fit to me in my way of thinking. And I can say I'm a daughter of a judge.
Okay.
And all my sisters and brothers are judges and lawyers.
Okay.
And that could have a kid because he was a great humanist, my father. And we were very close, and we used to sit and talk quite a lot about society and the people in prison. And he said that when you take the freedom from somebody, it's the hardest thing. So let them have their television and don't be envy of that. And he helped people who were pushed down by authorities, and he liked to fight for their rights and so on. So I was brought up in this, and also I was brought up in the summers in a big, lots of relatives in a big house where we were like 20 kids and aunts and uncles, and it was, you know, kind of lively up there.
A community, a communal life.
Yeah, it was my mother's home when she was brought up in with her 9 siblings. So we took over that with all these cousins, and, you know, and tried to live their summers there. And that's a very well training as a family therapist, I can tell.
Yeah.
Many parties and many fights.
Yeah. A lot of interaction, dynamics.
Yes, but but very playful, and the children were very free, and we could play and we can create, and, you know, so I think these are important things in life. So and I liked Michael the way he was. So that's another way. And then I also did some training in Norway, and we have to do some research. And I did research before as a psychologist, but then in 95, I understood I can never ever do that kind of research any longer. I have to do research into a narrative paradigm.
It was a standing up. It was a stand up for you of saying no to the former type of research.
It was gone. It was gone, this positivistic way of doing research. So I decided I have to do the narrative research. But by then, that time, there were no teachers to help me.
Sure.
I have no supervision. So I decided to learn all the method myself, which I did. So I read all this research literature, and that helped me to get the meta perspective on narrative. So I say I have influence from Michael White, but also from the narrative research I learned the methods, and but also that I did. It took me 5 years to do this research project. So, and then I started some painting schools some 15 years ago. And so, and in the painting, the language in the painting is much more adequate for what we're doing as therapists, coaches, or whatever, because it's about seeing, not understanding.
Right.
See. And in English, you say, I see what you mean. I love that. So it's the seeing, and can you see what's really there beyond the prejudice, beyond all this blur, the filter we have inside, you know. So all this I melted down, and that is life staging, who started as a supervision in the dark.
Like?
A supervision in the dark.
A supervision in the dark.
Because after all this talking, I thought, how much, on what kind of information do I need to be a supervisor, to meet a family, to an organization? And then I tried to do supervision without any information. And it worked very well.
Now that you say, I'm a little bit behind. I can follow you about how you decided about operating from a different place, supervision, and looking for that place and for that type of supervision. But I'm behind at this expression of beyond the prejudice, there is a blur, there is a filter. And in my mind, it's like as if you are describing the children's way of being in the world, without the filters, and just seeing the world, you know. So in a way, that was my image you created.
That's interesting. I'm writing, yes, you know, Michael used to say that we were born as originals, but ended up like copies.
Yes, I read that, but I didn't connect it to such an idea. But now I think there is a circle coming up. Yeah.
Because I think the notion about the normative power is so important for me in the narrative thinking, that how we narrow ourselves because of the dominant ideas, the culture, at the special working place, at the school, whatever. we are, and all the narrative idea about we silence or push away a lot of possibilities that was always there. And I think, you know, the resonance with the child is one of these links to that, because live staging is a safe place where we can become toddlers, I say.
Okay.
Try to explore again and try to be as open as possible. And that is possible when we don't know. We don't have any information.
Exactly.
We just have to use our bodies. We have to have our evolutionary knowledge to count, and we have to relate.
Yeah.
We have to use all these things that we might push down because it's not okay, and you know, you shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't feel that, and so on. So live staging is an embodied way. It is the outcome of narrative thinking.
Okay.
As you, live staging is group work. I do it with couples, especially in supervision and teaching.
Okay.
It starts off with someone making a scene, like the sandtray, a scene.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't know what it's all about. No one there knows what it is.
Sure.
It could be looking at a situation that you are facing, maybe a meeting you're going to do tomorrow, or something you did have and want to have a closer look. What happened?
Right.
It could be to look at a workplace, a family.
Yeah.
But it could also be abstract.
Yeah.
It could be something, dilemmas in your inner state. And so you just say that I want to do a staging.
A staging.
This is the practical of this.
Yeah.
And then you choose the people in the group to represent what you want to have a look at. Okay. So here you have to do a silent story already. Okay. On what do I really know? What have I seen? What have I felt? Okay. Let's example, it is a family I want to look at. Okay. What do I know of the mother? What do I know about the father? So you pick one person who doesn't know in the group and put there. And then, you know, people start to breathe and they get so engaged and they model the person, and then they show how the person's going to look like. Be it an angry one or a sad one, or sitting on the floor or standing on a chair, depending on their idea of this person. And then you have to continue with, let's say, the mother. And then you have to think about, what are their relationships? Are they close? Are they turned backwards? Yeah. And so you are creating a story live without the people in there. They just get instructions that you should, you know, put someone behind the curtain or whatever. And so you continue to make the scene you want. Right. And the important of this is that you bring all the people who might not be there real. I mean, if you do, the children might not be in your therapy room, but you put in some people representing the children. Sure. So you get the voices of the children. Sure. Yeah. So you build this stage where the artistic language comes in, and the narrative language. It is that the person who is staging have to look it from a distance and a close, exactly as you look at art, you know, paintings and so on. And then, so this is the picture. This is the dominant story, so to say, in narrative terms. Right. And then I say to the people that stay in the picture until 5 seconds or so, and then do whatever you want with that words. And they don't know who they are. They don't know what it's about. I don't know as a supervisor or teacher, but they do magical things. Yeah. And after a while, I stop and say voices. And then they're not allowed to be in psychologists. They have to say ordinary language, everyday language.
Right.
Like,
not expert language.
I felt afraid, or I wanted to go, but I felt I couldn't. You know, things like this.
Right.
And then it goes in different scenes and so on. And the stager has also put a person for her in the stage, in the scene, so she can see herself in the scene. So you're talking about the child. I'm talking also about the social constructionistic idea that we're not in the same place, and we construct each other when we move and in actions and so on. So so usually, and then when she's ready and we do the untapping, and we might know who the people were, not the story. Then I take the person away I have very sharp limits, and I say, you're holding the pen now. It's your story. You're going to write your story, and you others, you cannot reflect. Don't know. So the person is, and then I do my narrative questioning. All right. Which is what happened to you? How does it resonate to that? What does it say to you about you? Who wouldn't be surprised? And, you know, I use a lot of, and sculpting the language and have them keep them in the here and now. Okay. So they're not, you know, in real life. Well, this is real life. The here and now is everything you have. The rest is just thoughts, or, you know. So, and that, then I can ask the person if she wants, like an outside witness, you want the resonance. And so this and everything is evolving improvisation. But it's important, and usually the person who is the stager. Yeah, the stager is, for me, if I may interpret that way, a director. No, I'm the director. Yeah, but I mean, the stager is the one who is inventing the stage. He is yes. In this sense, you are the director of the whole process. I can understand that. Yes. You are the director of the director. But stager, I think maybe a suggestion could be that I'm the director, because I have to keep the safe place. Exactly. That's very important. But artistically, and in terms of the composition, you have an artistic director who is doing the staging. Yes, or maybe a creator of this scene. I'm the directing the format, and she's creating. Let's see, you know, or whatever. I can see you supporting a creative space. Yes, you are supporting a creative space to be close or near to the people who are forming this wonderful experience. Yes, but in the center is the person himself or herself who is staging, the stager. Yes, the stager. Now I can see the picture, or the film. and usually it's not what people are saying, it's that they feel something in the body, and they get into that kind of language. And they get into the language, well, I just saw something. I never thought that the mother could, you know. So they're into this language artistic. That's why I call it artistic and narrative approach, because I keep them, we're talking about colors and values and the dark and the motive and the surroundings. And so I'm into the artistic and narrative language. So they create something, but I still want it to be in their body. So usually they say, well, it feels much, I just feel, I want to see them now. I feel, I really, you know, that must be why the father is doing that. Why didn't I see that before? You know, they're into this. And I don't know if you know about polyvagal theory. I heard about it. I'm not. It's so this, I've read about that and mirror neurons. So this explains a lot of this. And we come back to the little child and attachment theories and so on, that if we could be that free, I mean, the first year you have to read faces to see who, and evolutionary, we have to read faces. So we are super intelligent in reading pages. Faces. Not pages, faces. Faces. And you know, the vagus nerve. When I meet with you or you with me, our right brain is the one who gets influence from our autonomic nervous system, goes up through the vagus nerve, and in a millisecond, And that is so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think it's most interesting with live staging, is that when you do this all the time, you get into being in different positions, you can see from different perspectives, you experience things which comes out here. And I think when you meet the situation next time, or people, your face is different.
Right. Right.
So they see, oh, this person is now much happier, or safe, or wanting me something good, not into her head to, what shall I do with this couple? It's a grounded person, and
Right,
and
right. There
and
is this connection to this face that is luminous, lighted.
Yes.
And able to be generous, to offer something to the world, and we take that as a gift in a way, when we have the chance to meet somebody like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they say that, people say that I come into a situation and I feel I don't have to understand. I just have to meet.
Right.
I can be there. I feel love. I feel that it's not, it's so much, and the groups are saying, because some groups have done this for 5 or 6 years,
right,
and they say we're less polarized. Why should life is complex, because you do this all the time, then you train different things than you learn in school. So for me, I think it's a very good training to become a intuitive therapist or supervisor. And also we get to be more seeing.
More seeing. I can get the sense that you are sensing, and you are able to sense without those judgments and thoughts and criteria and standards that maybe we are educated to use as in our intellectual growing and our professionalization. So in a way, you say, let's let that aside. Let's re-exercise sensing directly, and also sensing yourself. That is, sensing your emotion, and so in a way, re-exercise, re-experience of the experience with your relationship with yourself, and the relationship with the others, with the world, with whatever it is here and now, and it's sort of a re-exercising of simple living.
Yes, it's to be, because you cannot fool, because the neuroception, which is your answer from your nervous system, autonomic nervous system, it's out of your control. You can't control it.
It's there for you. It's a gift of your life, in a way. It's at our disposal, but sometimes we are intellectualizing so much.
Yes,
we discount that. And I think what you are doing with live staging is you create this possibility to re-engage with that, to rediscover that, and just sort of be free of the extra, which is more cognitive.
And also that we can activate all these skills and knowledge and experience people have, and they think they are not allowed to use.
The intuitive part of ourselves, as you mentioned.
Yes. I had a workshop or a lecture for, there was a man attending, a very well-known Swedish supervisor. He's older than I am. And I said, I have invented the permission bureau. Because people ask me all the time, can you do that? Is it? Hold on, I check. It's okay. Because how do I know, So, but these are tools I use, so they understand that you have to connect to your values and your colors. And if you are artists, I don't know how you're gonna paint. I paint my way.
Yeah, and I can see that you are just staging the permission bureau when somebody asks to connect to and give permission. So you are staging it so that people may be aware that you have the freedoms, but you forget you have the freedom.
Yes. And that connects to narrative too, because people have a lot of things, but they have forgotten what they have.
Right.
And that is also that this is activating. So what's happening in the staging is also that was forbidden more in traditional psychological, people are laughing, crying, happy, but it's safe because they're not them.
Yeah.
they know it's not them. But they are human beings, so they know about sadness, they know about happiness, and they know about stuckness. We all know about this. We know how it is to be a sister or a brother, even though we don't have sisters or brothers.
Right.
So it's so universal. So I think we can bring back so much of what we already have, instead of pushing in a lot of stuff that I don't say it's wrong with the intellectual things, but this way, I think we have it so much intellectual. So this is something that we can add to practice in teaching and supervision, because it activates other parts in us.
Because I can hear people who are participating in life staging are not stopping to utilize the ways that they are raised and professionally trained, but they are adding
some, yes,
completing or re-exercising skills, ways of being within yourself and with others. So I think it is a re-engagement with living, or with life, in a thrust way, in a simple way, in a direct way. Yeah,
that's a nice prescription. Yes, yes, and I like the book Michael wrote called "Make Ordinary Life Exotic."
Yeah,
that's so beautiful. And I think it's just all these things we take for granted, how we think, and I just, so for me this life training is also sculpturing the language so much. That when people are putting out the cliche or something, I say, what, deconstruct it and
unpack it
through very, very small steps. And the interesting thing is that when a person is doing a staging, it goes like that very fast. So as when they are free to do, they do. This sketch.
Is it that again? I'm looking at the lens of what I learned from narrative approaches. It is like life staging is allowing people to get close to experience.
Yes, it's
to get a grip of experience, but in a sense of not using language for that for the moment, but you are immersing people to get a grip of experiences, of sensing, and then you create the structure in the life staging process, as I understood it, where they are be able to verbalize and think about it and integrate it in the awareness and in the relationship and in the story. And then you have the conversation, which is actually supporting that and building that up for them and for the others, for the audience and for everybody. It's kind of a humanizing process after all, because you're bringing people really in touch with their ingredients in terms of preferences and intentions and the way they sense the world. And this becomes appropriated and this becomes personal. And then this is generously given as on a stage to the audience, and everybody is connected. So I think it's a very humanizing process, as I can imagine it. Yeah.
Yes, and it's that you say, and we know about social baseline theory and so on. These theories about we are our right brain is balancing in a group the other one. So if someone is a little low, we're balancing. The genius or the person is not the one who's alone. So group is very important, and we work groups, and we are in a Western individualized society. We do your individual therapy, and I think I think that working with perpetrators or violent men, I think in a group where you can stage families. So when you stage your family, you can observe what's happening, get the voices from the one who have suffered for you, and also you can be the father in another person's staging, the child. So you get something else than somebody said, you have hurt your child, but that when you are the child in a stage and you feel this, because it is the mirror neurons makes it be the same.
So in a way, you are repopulating yourself. You are enriching your array of experiences, of understandings.
Yes, you get a deeper understanding or insight how scared a child can be.
Right.
Because now you are a child, and because the magic is that people really are what I am in the stages too. If they are not enough people. And I sometimes start to speak another language, and it turns out I was an immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and this is so magic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and it's so much fun. And we need to laugh. And that is also what is narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know how playful Michael was, and the fantasies and everything in this
in the realm of possible.
Yeah.
Well, Elisabet, you gave me a very beautiful story with
Thank
the
you.
meanders of how it is structured, and there is results, like the effects on the way in the process, and the involvement of different actors of this complex gathering. This is a group endeavor, and I can see how your training during the years sort of got you ready to imagine and sustain such a complex artistic change scene. Because I can see you like being a director of an opera or some, important theater or symphonic orchestra. You are orchestrating, this, making possible for these talented people with their lives to take the center stage and then illuminate themselves and the others. I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I just set the table for it.
Right.
And my way there was that I was brave enough to do this.
Yeah.
Which was a huge risk, of course, to tell people don't say anything, and they say, "What? Shall I not tell anything?" Yeah. No. Yeah, but how could they? Well, just calm down, see the process, and see what. But that's so spooky, So it is a challenge to the established idea of how you learn.
Thank you so much, Elisabet.
Thank you too.
I feel this is a first.
Yes.
We may have to set up a sequel to this, a second episode, and maybe continue this relationship, which is evolving, because we started it as participants in the conference.
Yes.
Then maybe I could follow you from time to time of doing another live stage. And it's like, oh, live staging, this is something I need to learn. And I think, what best can you learn but from the author? Yeah.